Recorded
Nailed it.
March 20th, 2024. Good afternoon, Andrea. Good afternoon, Brody. How's everyone doing?
Afternoon after that extended intro.
Extended, totally planned that way intro. Yes.
Is that what that was, right? The extended edition, the long album edition.
You got
There
it.
you go.
You got it.
When the last time someone played an album? Anyone have a record player still?
Oh,
I do.
not me. No, do you?
I still got a bunch of vinyl downstairs. It's actually awesome to listen to the nuances, the little buzzing. When music wasn't perfect, nowadays it's so perfect that you don't even hear the chords when someone's guitar and they going up in strings, and it's sanitized. Old record, you can hear the lint on the needle as it bounced, right? And you can appreciate that, Brody. You're an audiophile.
I'm an audiophile. I get that. And we even had a gramophone back in the day at our lake house, a little cottage. There was a gramophone up there, and an 8-track player.
I have that downstairs.
And a record player. Yeah. So all that stuff. It's yeah. It's highly flammable. I don't know if you know that. All that stuff's highly flammable.
Oh yeah, it's petroleum.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When I can't get the fire in the fireplace, you just throw a little soul on it, a little funk on it. Go ahead and light up. You go right there.
Better than gas, sure.
Yeah. This is the second show of the week as we continue our tribute to women in cyber. Monday was a great show. We had Miss Garrett on. It was really good. Talking about how her career was, what drives her to go. The question was, how do you avoid burnout? And her answer to me, when you figure it out, let me know. It's like, I don't know, right? I think burnout is normal. Andrea, what have you been up to?
Oh, let's see. Lots of meetings today, and honestly trying to work with my buddy Mike Polito to come up with a new blog series. We're like, we need to be writing about something. What should we be writing about? So if anybody has ideas about something they want to hear about, type it in the show notes. Let us know. Type us down in the comments. Give us some ideas of things that people are interested in hearing about.
Well, in the realm of what Microsoft is talking about security, it's so much, right? Or you're reblogging someone else's stuff, or you're out doing creative stuff. I wanted to write this blog about the little instance I had with the way MDI was working about a month ago when I was yet again redoing my lab. I think I made a comment that I thought MDE was blocking the promotion of another domain controller in my environment, but it wasn't. It was not that. It was.
I figured.
Yeah,
that would have been hilarious. Okay,
it would have been hilarious, but I put some. Did I use Wireshark or something else? So I did a proc snifter, protocol snifter on it, and I did it, and I went through the steps, and it joined. So I unjoined it from the domain, forced replication, brought it back, and then I added Azure Arc. And then when I put Azure Arc on it, it wouldn't join.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like, so I went in, I took screenshots this time.
I don't know if Andrew really means that.
No, I do.
It sounded very sarcastic. Like, oh, cool.
No, I was like, no. I mean, I wouldn't.
So,
I mean, it makes sense if you had thought it out, right? But if I wouldn't have. I would have just been,
Right.
And then the difference with Azure Arc, it installed Qualys. I'm like, I didn't know it did that.
Yeah, there's still some stuff that Microsoft leverages Qualys for. I think they're moving over to our own vulnerability management and detection platform, but for a while, up until now, it sounds like Qualys has been in the system. So
and then after I got all the auditing put in and stuff, but I want to finish it up to make sure it makes logical sense. But I was able to duplicate it, and once I did a couple of things, I was like, okay, it went in, and so. But anyway, I asking Andrew what she was doing, and got over to me. I don't know, Andrew, what's up with your bangs? Are they not banging?
They're not doing what I want them to do today. They're
not banging.
I feel like I'm back in the day where I used to tease them up with hairspray back in the Bon Jovi days.
Sure.
Like a small spider on my forehead. But I will tell you, my technical thing for the day is to remind everyone that this is the month where if you have Microsoft managed conditional access policies selected as a radio button, it is possible that it is going to change your conditional access policies. So I'm going to post this blog here in the window. Everybody take a look, because the last thing you want is all of a sudden for your conditional access behavior to change. So please check that out, and either set them for yourself, whatever you like. But that's happening. It's happening. So get on it.
Whether you like it or not, it's happening.
Yeah, we'll get that link inside of there. It's some, I'm getting stuff popping up in my tenant like, hey, you need to move away from this legacy thing. Like, I didn't know I had to deploy. Let me go and move these things. I need to sit down one day and just go through the stuff and turn off stuff I'm not using and doing all that. And I think a lot of times we forget to go do these things because they're not incurring costs. They're sort of baked into the SKU. Now, if it's Azure something and you go into cost management and you see, oh, I forgot to turn this off because my bill's $2,000 this week, Frank, but that's okay. So, Brody, what about you?
Today breezed by. So I'm working with a customer on a whole data protection and governance strategy and framework, which is a new item with said customer. So I'm in charge of it. Looking forward to working with them on that. Looks like I'm going to start dabbling a little bit with Azure policy just to do something new and different. And other than that, community stuff's going well internally at Microsoft. I'm starting to interview people again. I'm going to get Jacques back on, Hacker Jacques, friend of the show. Going to get him on for a presentation. Mm-hmm. Nobody embarrassed me in front of Cazetta too bad on Monday, so thanks. I think that went excellent. What a great show. Good job, team. Good job. And other than that, I'm excited that it's snowing. We're getting snow for the next 5 days straight. We desperately need precipitation.
It's amazing how people pray for snow like they pray for rain. Please let it snow.
Yeah.
Oh, on another note, before we get our guest on, Andrea and I had the privilege of doing our first Learn Live session, where we talked about the fundamentals of generative AI. And it went over well, considering she and I are not developers, and until you get to the Copilot piece of it, it's really a developers type conversation. Copilot is closer to us, right? The AI in itself is sort of raw, and we had a half a heckler. It ain't last, but for most folks who were there, they really appreciated the way we conversed about it, right? I got a lot of nice comments and invitations on LinkedIn saying they love the way we brought a fresh, approach to talking about these particular topics. It was funny, and some good questions. So, it was really good. We sort of winged it of a sort, even though we had a specific talk track to really talk to. But it was enjoyable to sort of talk about. It made me want to go delve more about the underlying things that make Copilot work.
I think those were recorded as well, Edward. So I'll see if I can't hunt down a link. We can share that in the show notes later as well.
Mm-hmm. And I know that Andrea and I have one more together for Copilot, April. And I know that you and Rod have about 3 or 4, maybe.
No, the next one is 2 weeks from now, and I'm sure we'll talk about it before that. And it is about responsible AI.
Responsible AI. So we can get to our guest who's sitting in the green room, eating up all the snacks and drinking up all the beer.
Let's beam her in.
Yeah.
Let us do that. Oh.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh, Raae.
What's up, Raae?
Thank you for having me.
What quadrant are you in right now?
Of course, it's the Alpha Quadrant. That's where all the shenanigans happen there, But it's always an adventure.
For those who are listening in the car and not watching the show, Raae has a background, which is the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. So
D, the Starship Enterprise D specifically. Gotta be
NCC 1701. I remember getting that as a Trivial Pursuit question once, and everybody's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, nerd knows."
Yes, that matters. Yes.
And Raae, you're sitting in Wesley Crusher's spot, so you're the helms person for today.
Always.
Is that correct?
Yes. Always driving the ship.
Driving the ship. There you go. I'm more of the Borg type. right?
You're okay.
I'm not here to be friendly. You need to simulate. That's what I'm here to do.
Resistance is futile, right? I like a good pun, resistance. That's how it works.
Love it.
Yeah.
You were saying, Edward, you were trying to catch up on Lower Decks. What were you watching?
I'm a big Star Trek fan, not a Star Wars fan, so all the Mandalorian people can go kick rocks. But
you like Mandalorian?
That's not the opinion of the show.
Yeah. Like if you're part of the Maquis, B'Elanna Torres is a personal hero of mine, and she was the Resistance in the Maquis. And then there's the parallel in the Star Wars franchise of Rebel Scum. You got, so I relate to both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ed's gonna stay his side. I'm trying to watch one of the animated Star Trek themed shows, which is Lower Decks. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. Deep cuts.
Yes.
And then I need to go watch the third and maybe final season of Picard.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen it either? Oh my God. Why haven't you people seen?
It hurts my soul to see. So I watched religiously the first 2 seasons, and to see Patrick Stewart and Picard, it like I sometimes can't watch the series finale.
His voice gets shaky.
It's tough for me. Maybe I'm being confronted with my own mortality, but until then, we need who the Sung, or what is it, who is the engineer that is
Geordie LaForge?
No, not Geordie LaForge. Come on, in Picard, where we have Brent Spiner playing the role of, is it
Noonien Singh.
Yes. Where the continuity of life and immortality, etc.
Yes.
So until we have that here in our world, it's a little tough for me.
And then I'm watching
love that.
Strange New Worlds, so I need to finish all of those.
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds is, that dude's hair is perfect.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. There's some serious styling going on there.
I know, right? You could take a punch and his head would move, his hair would just stay right there, right? So, without further ado, we have a guest on, and a peer, and a friend, and I would like for her to come on and introduce herself to talk about her stellar cyber career, how she got here, what she's doing, and once again, thanks, Raae, for coming on the show. I know that sometimes you don't like to speak in public and all that, but that's, I get it. And that's funny. And I'm going to bring that up toward the end of the show. I can say it there, but how that's not really true. So to our listeners, would you mind introducing yourself and what you do and where you do it?
Okay. Well, my name is Raae Wolfram. Let's see. I'm introducing myself. What do I do? I am a senior product manager. With my focus is customer experience, and I am in the Defender Experts team for Microsoft. We are the managed security services arm of the organization. And it has been quite an adventure to get here, but I have been living my dream ever since I joined the group, to be honest. And I'm very excited to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on. As you know, the theme of the show is women in cyber. So you're a woman, you're in cyber. How'd you end up here? How'd you end up in cyber? Who did you lose a bet to that you chose cybersecurity as a career?
Oh my goodness. Where to begin? Well, I always wanted to be an engineer for Starfleet, and that didn't pan out, unfortunately. But I did find myself as a technologist for a school of medicine, and that was one of the most gratifying experiences of my entire career. I was so green, was so hungry, and I remember in the interview I mentioned LCARs, and the hiring manager at the time was actually the skip manager, was like, "All right, you're all right. You have no background, but you've got something." And I was able to have an impact, and I was able to grow my career in the direction of project management. I'm very passionate about healthcare IT and patient empowerment, and operating within the intersection of technology and healthcare delivery. When COVID hit, I was actually working at a healthcare institution with the highly specialized mission, and they provide my healthcare today. And that we look at cybersecurity now, right, as one of the most critical business enablers. And that's fantastic. It's very powerful, and it creates a lot of room to have important conversations. But when you're in the business of saving lives, the stakes are amplified. And when I was kind of in it and looking at my peers and colleagues that I worked very closely with in InfoSec, I realized that I wanted to do more, do my part and contribute more meaningfully on a more global scale. So I decided to enroll in a master's program for cyber operations. I joined AWS for about a year, and then I was able to transition to Microsoft and join the Defender Experts team and focus exclusively on cybersecurity and manage our relationships with our customers. And I genuinely feel like I am living a dream. I'm just, a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx, Parkchester, on the 6 train, 10-minute walk from the station. Like it's a huge deal for me to be at Microsoft, for me. And I am so grateful every day that this is my reality. So that's how I got into cyber.
And that's great. You gave that rundown, but you were saying that the engineering track didn't work. So what did you flip over to get on the right train to come to cyber? Did you say that? I may have missed
no. I said I wanted to be an engineer for Starfleet. Unfortunately, it's fictional. So that
it is.
As far as I'm aware, but if you have some intel that you're privy to, please post that in the chat. But I have a very non-traditional, unorthodox path to cybersecurity. My major in college, and I was a super senior. It was anthropology and psychology, and I have a master's in epidemiology and an MBA. And I understand these are privileged, activities. Like, I'm just a lifelong learner, and that's a hobby of mine. And I understand access is not necessarily available to everyone, but for me, I was hungry to learn and to be as helpful as possible. And one of my passions is to problem solve. If I see something, I am almost compelled to say something, and there's nothing more dynamic. And I feel, I've been around the block for a while, not so green anymore, but there's no space that appreciates strong energy and intensity to be helpful and to to call, to ring the alarm as needed. So I have been able to thrive and be successful in technology, and specifically in cybersecurity.
You and I work closely because you're part of the experienced team that my team works with and supports, and we cross-pollinate. I know you have a very, intense passion for, conveying the knowledge, the lessons learned, and everything in the industry that you are very fond of, which is healthcare. I know they just recently had a huge healthcare symposium for technology down in Orlando. A couple of folks were down there. They told me about it, informatics or something like that. But how are you holding up when that industry is one that you're very close to, that is under attack right now? It seems like the honor among thieves or honor among hackers for decades, where you don't attack healthcare and you don't attack education, all gloves are off now. You saw the recent hack against the billing exchange, and then their hack about a month ago against the Children's Hospital, I believe it was in Ohio. You're seeing that. What is it about healthcare now that is making them less resilient, or was the resiliency false? It was just that nobody did it because it wasn't profitable, because people deemed that, why do you think the healthcare is being targeted more by these hackers?
I mean, it's always been targeted. I would say now there's a treasure trove of opportunity for threat actors. And when we see these breaches, these compromises, it's not, I assure you, having been in it, all of those individuals, the defenders, are quite committed, quite passionate, and dedicated. Sometimes there is friction internally with the business decision makers. So I mean, and that's, every job, you're going to choose your heart, right? And I've happily chosen the heart of being in cybersecurity and being in it day in and day out, and being part of shaping and evolving a managed security service where we augment the internal org SOC essentially. I am so looking forward to when we're able to roll out the service to our healthcare organizations nationwide, because I know that is something that's going to be so powerful for all of these organizations, because it is not to say that they are not doing the good work internally on their own independently, but they do need help, right? So that is something that I am very, very, very excited about moving forward.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Edward.
No, go ahead.
So I'm pretty sure I read an article recently that like the Black Hat ransomware had forbidden anyone to use their software for hacking healthcare. And then something happened that made them mad and they gave them the okay. Did I make that up? I swear I read that somewhere.
You didn't make that up. And I think it's all related to Ukraine. They're basically like, yeah, well,
gloves are off. Yeah.
Gloves are off. Yeah.
And you're right. There is a treasure trove of opportunity in a bad way, because think of how much, profitable data that it's in a healthcare. I mean, they could almost cover every regulatory enforced body, from PCI to HIPAA high trust to all these things, because medical records, data, financials, and all this, other than, perhaps agency and government. I mean, it is there. With healthcare, well, let's try something else. You were saying that, these defenders are doing the best that they can. They're passionate about doing this. Why is it that it seems as though, unless you want a super large healthcare, it's hard to get talent into the healthcare, whether it be traditional IT, but we're going to specifically talk about cyber. How did you find it difficult to get seasoned, experienced individuals into that industry to be able to do it? And I was about to dumb it down and say hospitals, but we know that healthcare is a major multi-billion-dollar industry now. But I'll keep it dumbed down to hospitals or healthcare groups. Why is it so hard to get talent there, it seems?
Tell me more about what the disconnect is in terms of the talent pipeline for healthcare technologists, specifically cybersecurity.
Ooh, I think she's disagreeing with you, Edward.
Well, maybe what my thing would be, I didn't want to say it. It says that a lot of times people get into healthcare, they come into the IT and the cyber, and they bounce because of the pay discrepancy between them and their peers in other industries, when it's known that, large health groups are not poor. They're not poor. They're making record profits. So I'm trying to figure out, why is the struggle there when it seems like the revenue is there, and revenue seems to be a driver of getting talent?
I would say, based on my personal experience, there is no question about the dedication and passion of any cybersecurity practitioner. It is often, I would say, thankless, because people are not going to give you kudos and thumbs up for being sometimes what they perceive to be the sheriffs, right? But a good day, a great day, is the absence of uproar, right? So the folks that are doing this day in and day out, they actually love what they do, and they are genuine about protecting other people. They have a mission and a goal that is greater than themselves. If there's a sense or perception that folks are spending time in that arena, in that realm, as defenders in a particular vertical or space, and then they leave, I would say that, again, having been in that environment, but this is many years ago, sometimes, when you are in that particular domain as a cybersecurity practitioner, you are responsible for all of the diverse stakeholders. across the board, right? And they may not have the technological savvy required to appreciate maybe something that seems a little bit more rigorous for them, or anything that's going to change their day-to-day business as usual. And so that friction, that tension, and coupled with the actual passion, dedication, and commitment, it can be very exhausting, taxing. And so there is burnout, and there's fatigue at that end. But I would say it's not because, like, I'm not getting paid enough, I'm going to bounce. I don't believe folks do it for the pay. I think they are actually doing it because they're quite brilliant minds. They are capable across a number of different dimensions. They could do something else for very favorable pay as well, but they're doing this because they are genuine in helping other people. And so if there is a disconnect, I believe it's having to manage perhaps the stakeholders. And that's why I would say a diversity amongst the team, and a treasure trove in terms of the folks that comprise the community of practice is really going to be important and powerful here, because then you can share the load, share the burden, and folks can leverage their strengths, and they can lean on others to help them drive efforts and initiatives forward.
Yeah, the very industry in itself is a industry of care, right? Care for the patients, care for the security of the patients, and everything else. And I got some friends that work at some of the larger hospitals there, and they are contradicted to my little limited perspective. They're extremely happy.
Yeah.
But they happen to work at a large hospital that they're making money hand over fist, so and they spend on technology.
We have a question from some strange guy from Denmark who wants to know.
Do the Defender experts use Copilot for security? You know what? I guess is uniquely qualified to answer that question. So maybe she can.
So are you, Ed? So are you.
All right, so I'll answer.
No, Raae, we want to hear from you. We hear from Everett all the time. You're way better with your words and articulating. Let's hear from Raae. Yeah.
And what you can and can't share, if you can say, hey, you're not cleared for that information, tell our audience. But I'll give my short.
Give her 2 cents, Ed.
Yes, it is known that one of the largest consumer of the Copilot for security is Defender experts. Weird. That doesn't take away from the heart of what the team does, and the strength of the team is you have humans doing the active hunting and the active resolution of that. The Copilot for security is for automation of non-significant security alerts and those. So we're not branding it as though we got managed, SOCs with people butts in the seat, and then we're using Copilot for everything. No, we're actually not. So it's a combination of that. So the answer is yes, but in a very focused and limited fashion. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, as well as like the origin story for Copilot for security. I mean, our Defender experts team members are driving that. That is the inception of Copilot for security. Folks that have built Defender experts, shaped Defender experts, are now shaping Copilot for security. So they are meant to be integrated.
Yeah. And what is not using Copilot if it can make you more efficient. And efficiency is not more productive. They're not mutually inclusive, right? So you could be efficient at doing something bad. That doesn't mean being productive, right? So I'm efficient at drinking beer. There you go. That doesn't make me more productive. There you go.
We have a follow-up question.
Follow-up question.
How does Defender Expert use Copilot when the client doesn't have it enabled in their tenant? The way that it's segmented off is the intelligence necessary for the Defender experts to do their job. So the way that they use it, just think of the Defender experts having their own version of Copilot, to make them better in their job, which is 2 parts of the Defender experts. For those who don't know, is hunting where we do proactive hunting, and we also do complete XDR. So we don't necessarily need the customer's data, and they don't have to be enabled for it. We're using it for the functions, or they're using it for the functions that they've been, serviced to do. So does it reference the customer data to be able to get better? Not necessarily. So think of Copilot in layers, right? We got 25 Copilots that Microsoft has, I think, maybe more. We talked about it yesterday. Don't think it is all encompassing where the data leaks out from whatever the standalone is to what the defender for Copilots do, right? It is it's customized. How about that? I'll take the lazy way. It's customized. There you go. And I think I know who Dean 144 is. What's up, Dean? So back to the questions.
I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. Raae, yes. It sounds like you're amazingly passionate about security, which is fantastic. And how do you inspire others to get into security like yourself?
But lead by example. I have been told that my energy is infectious, and I'm going to take that as high praise and a compliment. But if you don't see it, you can't be it. You can't even know that it's an option for you. I just happened to. I didn't see Puerto Ricans from the Bronx are like leading in cybersecurity roles and executive position. That wasn't really anything that I grew up with, other than I saw it in Voyager with Balana Torres, right? Like, oh my goodness, right? Like that's genuine. Like, I think she's kick-ass. And I feel like it's important, and it's my responsibility to show up and say, hey, this is what I did. This is my story. And if it's helpful, you can, I'm happy to share as much as that's going to propel somebody in a similar position. Maybe the people look past them and they think, okay, well, they have a certain profile, so we, they're not matching the pedigree that we expect. Because I've encountered those conversations personally. I have had to deal with that and navigate it. And I just feel like being loud and proud sometimes is exactly the right and best medicine for others to, you know what, they can do it. I can do it too. And they ought to do it. Right. And whatever help they require, they need, all they have to do is ask. And I know that I'm happy to make myself available in whatever way they need. And I feel like our industry in particular is very generous with the knowledge share. Again, we can't do it for you, but we can be there for you. And whatever you require, I can make available to you, but you're going to have to be okay with failing. You're going to have to be okay with discomfort, and you're going to have to try and do it. But I'm there rooting for you, and I'm going to be involved in whatever capacity that makes sense. And I know other people share that same mentality. So that's how I believe showing up for others has been effective for me, and I hope it's been impactful for them as well.
Thank you.
See, we've got a follow-up question from the chat here. I don't know that this has to be necessarily you, Raae. I think that we could all probably answer this one.
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't understand the question.
What is the question?
It said, how do you make people fit into boxes when their path is unusual?
Oh, you know what? I'll answer that. I don't think security is I think security is a great industry to not funnel people into boxes. We've got all kinds of diverse individuals here, folks who have who are neurodiverse, folks who have different diversity backgrounds from education, from location, from upbringing. And I think it's a very welcoming industry for everybody. If you have good leadership, good mentors, and a good team, you will find out that your unusualness fits into becomes a benefit, right? Not everybody is just designed for like role 1, role 2, blah 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 blah. And at Microsoft, like we have titles, but like title is just a title, right? We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and just because like I'm a consultant doesn't mean I also do other things. So I think cybersecurity in general isn't like fitting people into very specific boxes. I think it's an industry that allows people to flourish and bring new ideas and perspectives. So if you don't have an organization that's meeting that need for you, or you feel like your leadership's trying to put you into a box that you don't belong in, I would keep your options open, because there's a lot of talented organizations out there that would love to have someone like you on their team. That's my answer.
Well, and I would say, Gannett, okay, and the off chance what you were asking is that you came up with an unusual path and you're having a hard time getting that entry level opportunity, which I think can absolutely be sure, right? You came up, you were a dancer, you were a journalist, you were, a microbiologist, and getting that first opportunity can be difficult. But I think, Raae, you're saying it right. You just have to keep asking people. You just have to keep talking to your contacts. You just can't give up. And like I said, I started on the help desk, right? I had another career where I was actually fairly successful, took a giant pay cut because I wanted to try something new. So I started literally on a help desk. I know that's not always possible if you have a family or other responsibilities, but don't give up is probably my answer to that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it just sort of came to me by virtue of just regular promotion and increasing skill set and desire to do something different. And I sort of backed into it, right? And I know I've talked about my history, but I'm a firewall guy, and security was not a thing. It was just, you sit closer to the data center, you're the security guy, the firewall, go do it, and do that. So you are in it. How are you getting other women into cyber? Right? How are you evangelizing that this is a career that they should consider?
Well, I tried to, be the change I want to see, right? We have,
and not that it's totally your responsibility all by yourself, right?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Oh,
I'm the ambassador for indoctrinating the women into the cybersecurity. But there are so many very prolific influencers on social media, but within the industry overall, we have incredible leadership within Microsoft. Even we have Andrea as part of this incredible. No, so why are you laughing? This is true. We don't, if we cannot see it, we cannot be it, right? Like, it's great to have imagination, but it's all, oh, maybe one day. But you see it, you see somebody who shares your attributes and who can be an ally and a support, and you can manifest it. It seems a little bit more within your grasp. So when you have to make the tough decision of, do I spend my time cultivating these relationships, X, Y, and Z, or do I pour myself into developing these skills and pursuing opportunities where I know I'm going to have some challenges ahead of me, I'm going to be met with rejection, it's a little bit more palatable for you to say, I'm going to choose the latter. I could have fun now, but I'm going to be risking my future, right? Whereas, I know it's going to be a tough road, but it's going to be a worthwhile road, and I know it can happen because I can see it. And so, showing up in that way and being vocal and being present and being visible for me is part of living a life that is worthwhile. So I'm sure I can be doing more too, and I'm open to hearing how I can drive it further. But that's where I'm at right now.
Well, I didn't ask the question in a manner that says, "What have you done? Are you doing enough?" I know that this was whatever. This was just a lead into what I wanted to ask you more, because I know what you're doing. So you came on a podcast, you had some, anxiety about being on and being recorded and talking.
Really?
All that.
You speak so well. I mean, she had anxiety coming on.
So let me tell you what she's doing.
She's the most articulate person we've had on in a while. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. So
tell them about all the outreach, the education, the evangelism, the speaking engagements that you're doing. I can't do you justice because I can't keep up with your schedule. So give everybody a little bit of what you are doing to go out and evangelize the things you care about so much.
Oh, Ed, you're putting me on the spot. You're making me seem like I'm a ringer for. No, here's the thing. When I joined the industry, I asked somebody, hey, how how do you know so many people? And how do you know so much stuff that isn't part of our day to day? Because I thought I was pretty good, you know, like I a little bit of a maverick and I'll do my side hustle. And then, oh, I go to conferences like B-sides. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'd love, okay, what about A-sides? What happened to D? Where we're just going straight to the B's? Okay. And I had no, like, I poured myself into it, and you know, I became a fan. I became like a fan of the industry. And then somebody got a little bit slick with me. They're like, oh, you know, you think you've done so much, but I don't really know who you are. You're not really giving me main character energy. Main characters go to conferences.
Who said that? No, never mind.
Yeah, it's okay. It's definitely not Ed, by the way. But it was like somebody else. And I was like, oh, okay. So as soon, because I'm apparently like a child, because reverse psychology works really well on me. They're like, you can't do it. And then I was like, you better watch me. And so I put together proposals, and I was like super anxious and petrified. And I have all of these thoughts that live right in my head. And that's probably how my therapists prefer it. But anyway, I sent them out. And other folks, you know, experts across other organizations are like, this is all right. This is pretty good. This would add value to the experience. And so I have, apparently there's a circuit, at least 3 B-Sides conferences that I have coming up the next few weeks. And it'll be my first time presenting this material. I've presented before, but, you know, there are some people that really thrive off of the showtime and the validation and praise. I thrive off of being helpful. Validation and praise, not like it's great, fantastic. You don't get a gold star for what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to know your stuff, and you're supposed to do it well and do good, right? For the greater good. That's at least my working model. So for me, it's a little bit of a hurdle to overcome my natural introversion and to present material. But this is very, very new to me. And Ed is like, you better do it. I was like, but I don't want to. And he's like, you better do it. And so here I am. And like my daughter says, you're like a single mom, right? It's good to be afraid because then you can be brave. And I was like, all right, well, if my kid's not watching me now, I got to be brave. So
that's the only time you can be brave.
Yes. Yeah. So here we are. That is how I'm adding to my personal growth and my professional development as well.
Amazing.
Well, I
would love to have you talk to the internal security worldwide community, if you don't mind, Raae. Even chiller than this environment. You're wonderful to talk to. So I'm glad Ed is pushing you towards that. Ed is correct.
Thank you, and thank you, Ed. He's
just go do it. You know, and that mentality and was enforced by Maria, who was on the show previously. She said, I apply for everything.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to do it. You have to tell me no, right? You're going to have to tell me no, right? And if I really want it, you're going to have to tell me no and tell me why you said no. Do that.
Absolutely. Yes. And I love, so every one of your guests, I feel like they have different energies, different stories. Kate Proctor kind of hinted at it, but the common thread amongst them, and hopefully I'm showing up adequately, but they have a very clear sense of their values and their principles, and they operate in alignment with them, right? You know, and then we had Danny say that changing the curriculum is not as straightforward, but she's resourceful enough and industrious enough, can leverage her network to make sure her students will learn what they need to know in practice, right? Like she's like, I will figure it out. I'm committed to this. This is important to me. We had Maria. Somebody mentioned that accessibility is not necessarily a selling point. And she very gracefully said, I disagree. It is important. It's significant. And then she kept it moving. And Kate Proctor, my favorite part of that, more than 800 engagements, I got kicked out of the room 3 times. And you think that's a good ratio. For a consultant, no, it's not.
It's not.
But she would do it again. She would do it again because she was doing what she believed in for the good of the client, the customer, for the greater good. And then Cosette, Ed was like, tell us about how to avoid burnout. You figure it out. You can let me know. You know, this is worthwhile work. Like, I don't know how to not feel fatigued, but life is hard. You choose your hard, and you are committed to it, and you are in it. And like, this is meaningful stuff. And if you are actually serious about doing something beneficial beyond yourself, this makes sense, and you'll keep going. And so, yeah, that's kind of, hopefully I'm showing up in a similar thread, but you're going to have some mishaps here and there, but the important part is like you pick yourself up and you keep it moving, and you're still able to have wins. And like Ed said earlier, offline conversation, it can be a win-win. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum win. And that's, I think, the whole point of building a community. It's a win-win, and that's my North Star.
Yeah, both sides can win. Love it. Right. I think people go into these debates of different opinions and perspectives as that someone has to come out the victor. Both can win. I mean, that doesn't disqualify your perspective. And what is a win, right? It's just being heard and understanding, respecting mine is a win. Like, okay, I heard you, Edward. What pisses me off was people don't even want to hear your side of the story, right? That rubs me. We'll go there. So you're in the Defender Experts. We're out being first-party services. We're helping these customers know what they don't know. You and I have worked on some accounts together. You gave me some great advice on some of these accounts, right? Because you know the customer, and like, hey, this is their personality. Go do this, and we've done it. What's the next exciting thing for you, even within what you're doing now? What would be? Yes, that's a win, and I win, and you win, and we all get a win. So what's the next win for you?
Yes, Ed. Well, for our customer connection program, there's some discussion around kicking off or launching an AMA or Ask Me Anything with our actual Defender Experts. There's just like a lot of talk, and I'm on the ground connecting with our actual customers. They just want to like learn from Defender Experts. Like, we'll take it any which way. We don't have to talk. It does not have to be interactive. We literally just would love like real time knowledge share, like just dump it in our heads, mind meld, whatever it takes. And I thought, all right, I got it. And so we leverage my connections, Ed, you're critical to this effort, and we are kicking that off tomorrow. We have an actual Defender expert who's going to basically provide it's a fireside chat, and there's some structure to it, so it's not like the Wild West, but it's essentially a knowledge share and like how to develop the mindset of a Microsoft cybersecurity practitioner. And I am very, very passionate. And I feel obviously it's a win for the customers. They asked for it and they get it. And that's how working with me, you ask for something, you're going to get it. But for me too, it's a win to see that come to fruition, but to be able to learn and to be able to create a forum, because the folks that are actually on the team, the Defender Experts, they are incredibly passionate, and the education piece and the empowerment piece is actually one of the most powerful drivers for showing up day to day. Like that's something that really resonates with them. So to be able to kind of address all of those dimensions in a way that is win-win for everyone, I am incredibly excited for it.
Yep, I forgot to mention that we're actually doing the customer connection program, Ask Me Anything /fireside chat tomorrow. So thank you for allowing me to come on and sit on that, and we're going to have fun tomorrow. We've been talking about different paths and all that. You gave us this and that. So any advice? One tidbit of advice to someone that says, "Hey, I'm going to do this." Give me one thing that I could sort of pin in the ground that when I'm not really sure about my way I'm going, that do it this way. And you sort of said it, but just give me one of your advices. One that a Puerto Rican girl from New York.
Yeah. Let's do it. Take up space. That's you want to be in the cybersecurity landscape and cybersecurity space. Take up space, and don't hold your tongue. Don't hold it back. Right. you are going to encounter rejection. You're going to encounter naysayers. You're going to have people ask you, why do you need that degree? Why do you need what, you should just be happy with what you have right now. And all you need to do is just smile, and they'll never find their way to the arena, but you walk. And I want to say fearlessly, but it's fine to have fear. It's good to have it. Be afraid and keep doing it regardless, right? And be okay with discomfort, and know that there is no alternative. You are going to achieve it. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to be free of stress and grief, but it's going to be worthwhile because you would have earned it, and you will earn it. And you're going to build a network, and you're going to have allies, you're going to have supporters, and you're going to have folks rooting for you. That doesn't mean they're going to do the work for you because they're trying to live their day, just be willing to do the work, have that hunger, and be very enthusiastic. And don't say, I think Cosetta said, never say no, right? If somebody's inviting you to a speaking engagement, if somebody is inviting you to participate or contribute to a study or to an initiative, and it's a +1 activity, you do it. You do it, and you learn, and you're humble about it. And that is going to be your key to success. That is how you are going to grow, both professionally and personally.
Raae, we're getting close to time to wrap up. So we're going to ask you the question we ask every guest, which is, what is your favorite Microsoft security product?
My favorite Microsoft security product. I mean, can we? I know can I say my servant? I love my servant.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love that. In an HR approved way. I actually all the hunters, the analysts, the researchers, the engineers. I know these people, and I know what they are delivering and what they're committed to, and I am so excited by it. And it is operating off of the Defender stack, of course, but I think it's a beautiful culmination of everything Microsoft has been working towards.
Okay.
Edward would tell you. Edward, what is the correct answer, Edward?
Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. Oh. I don't know. I am
right, Raae.
It has made a resurgence. It is becoming important inside of it again, inside of the Defender stack, with especially this ability to look at these generative AI products out there and pop it open and go look at it. It was 450, it's 463 now that it can monitor and take a look, and actually have session controls against a lot of it too. So, with AI just becoming ubiquitous, people can just go get a subscription and sign up, and using something that's not authorized, you can see it now. What are they doing? Why is Brody using this to do his consulting work, right?
I use all kinds of stuff. Okay, all right. We get average. Okay, Raae, one more very important question before we go. Very important. Favorite Star Trek episode?
My favorite episode?
All time or specific show, Brody? That's
thank you. That's important.
I'll give her all time. And it doesn't have to be it can be one of your favorites, because I know a favorite or the favorite is very hard. So how about a memorable favorite?
Oh my goodness. You're putting me on, we have B'Elanna Torres when she's undergoing the Ponfar with the Tom Paris. Anyway, but that's fine. That's just because that's my fanfic from adolescence. But anything with the Cisco with Deep Space Nine, I cannot pick a favorite episode, but I will say Q and the Q Continuum. Those are all of my favorite episodes.
Those are always good.
Yes. Brody, do you want to pick yours since you brought it up? I feel like you have one and you're dying to say it.
I do. Well, right now, it's kind of the last episode of season 3 of Star Trek Picard, which both of you and Edward should have watched already. It is so good. And the second last one. They're just amazing. It's just, you got to watch it. I can't believe it. You should stop what you're doing today. In fact, I give you both the day off. Rest the day off. Sit down tonight. Open up Paramount or wherever it's streaming from, and just binge the whole darn thing, okay? And you're gonna wake up the next day and you're like, Brody, that was the best 6+ hours of my life. I can't believe you did that. Wow.
I don't doubt it.
Edward, do you have a favorite one, Edward Walton?
Anyone that has the Borg in it. That's all right.
It's all right.
What's your take on Hugh? You like Hugh?
I like Q, and I like
Hugh. No, Hugh the Borg.
Hugh.
Hugh. Yes. Hugh.
Oh, yeah.
H.
And yeah, all of the assimilated. But I tell you,
shout out to all of the assimilated.
I'm gonna give you one. And you're gonna look like a typical man that would say this. My favorite Borg is 7 and 9.
7 and 9, of course.
Of course.
Come on.
We all know why. We all know
because she's so smart.
She's an amazing actress.
She's smart.
That's why. Yeah.
I will tell you mine are Deep Space Nine is my favorite.
Yes. Yeah.
And all of the episodes where Vic Damone is in, he's like the sort of Rat Packy singer that they go when they go into the holodeck.
Yeah.
So that is certainly any of those episodes are my favorite.
Garrick is one of my second favorite. Now I'm like, you can see that I'm hyper fixated now.
Garrick is played by a very good actor, and his like you watch highlights of Garrick, and it's just like, oh damn, like this is
that how you spend your weekend, Brody? Like the highlight reel? I mean, I would do it. That seems like important. There was a line with Garrick. He's like, Bashir is telling. He's like, Garrick, you had like all of your bones broken. What are you doing? He's like, yes, but the psychological jabs that I have dealt them will last with them for a lifetime. And I'm like, oh, Garrick, yes.
Right. Or when he sabotages the Romulan delegation's shuttle intentionally in order to draw the Romulans into the war in Deep Space Nine. Like it's just brilliant. It's like, why would you do that? And he's just like, hey, you want to win? You got to use people like me. Hey. It's just
I apologize to all the people who came here for the tech, but stayed for the Star Trek. So
it is very much tech. Science fiction is only fiction until people can make money off of it. Then it's science fact.
No,
this right here is proof of science fiction before it became science fact.
Edward's showing his wearable watch.
My Apple Watch. Yeah.
Somebody asked me what the greatest invention was for technology, and I said Gene Roddenberry was the inspiration for most of it. And I was very serious about it. And they're like, okay, because not the calculator, I was like, Gene Roddenberry. I will go to the mats. With Gene Roddenberry.
The whole reason I'm in tech is because of Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah. But everyone, we see that tech is tech, whether it's not is real or not real just yet. We now know that all the Federation ships were powered by Copilot. You'll see it if you go back and find the Easter eggs and all of that. You'll see Microsoft Copilot. Even in Star Trek Voyager, you'll see Janeway like Copilot. I mean computer. You'll see it. She said it. I'm sure it's a blooper. Well, Raae, thank you so much for coming on and agreeing. I mean, I think I had to, beg, plead, threaten to get you to come on for like a month or two. But thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for your story. Anything that you want to put us in the show notes, your speaking engagement. I know you have like 4 or 5. I think our listeners would love to see where you're actually presenting and what you're presenting on. Or anything you want to share out there, we can amplify it on our things. To all our listeners, we continue with Women in Cyber next week. Really excited about the individual that we have coming on. We may get into the deep competitive tech coming from Palo Alto. I'm sure she has some interesting insights. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you Monday. That's my podcast, boys. Yes.